In the Akedas Yitzchak that occurs at the end of the Sedra VaYe, this forthcoming Shabbos Kodesh, all of us know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to Avraham Avinu when he puts him through the most difficult of all tests, namely the potential sacrifice of a son by a parent. And in instructing him to do so, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to him, Vayomer, Kachno es binecha es yechidecha asher ahavta es Yitzchak. Take your son, your singular son, the one that you love, Yitzchak. And Rashi, that very famous Rashi with which many of us struggle, explains that HaKadosh Baruch Hu used all of these references telling Avraham Avinu es bincha, to which Avraham responded, Shnei banim yeshli, take my son. Why, I've got two. Amar lo es yichidcha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said the one who was singular. Amar lo, Avraham Avinu responded, Zeh yochid le'imo v'zeh yochid le'imo. Each one is singular and special to his mother. Hagar only has one son, Yishmael, and Sarah only has one son, Yitzchak. Asher ahavta, the one that you love, said God to Avraham Avinu. And Rashi says to us, Amar lo, Avram responded, Shneihem ani yohev, the one that I love. Why, I love both of them. At which point God has to spell it out even clearer, as Yitzchak. Take Yitzchak. And I remember learning this as a child, and I continue to learn it as an adult, and always had a problem with this. Shneihem ani ohev, both of them I love? Really? Equally? And if we learn according to the Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh regarding two statements that he makes in explaining the Psukim in this week's Sedra, I think we can understand it oh so well. When the Psukim inform us that Sarah insists that Avraham Avinu banish Yishmael because of the influence he is having upon Yitzchak, or what he's trying to do to Yitzchak, the Psukim tell us that Vayera hadavar ma'od be'enei Avraham. Avraham was terribly chagrined regarding that which he had been informed in terms of Yishmael's behavior. And Rashi gives us two explanations. He is chagrined because, in fact, alados bano sheshama sheyasa letar b'sra, that culturally, behaviorally, Yishmael has taken the path that Avram would never have desired for his son. Upshuto, but continues Rashi, but the simple explanation of the pasuk is Avram was upset that Sarah was insisting that Yishmael be sent away. Says the Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh, alados bano, he was upset regarding his son. Perish, not that he had adopted a foreign cultural behavior, much to the chagrin of Avraham Avinu, but rather Leval yese letar b'sra v'yishtaka be'amunos ros b'tzeisa mebeis aviv, that Yishmael should not yet, being banished from his household, embrace things that Avram would never wish for him, and then he will be lost. Because when he becomes engulfed in matters further distant from the path of Avraham Avinu, the sof kol sof benohu, Avraham will no longer have an influence on him, have a hashpah on him. And at the end of the day, it's his son. So the Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh gives us a clue into what's going on in the mind of Avraham Avinu. But what about Yishmael? What's going on in his mind and his heart? Well, we're told that Avraham Avinu carries forth the command of Sarah Imenu. And he does so. Vayashkim Avram baboker vayikach lechem v'chem esmayim vayiten el Hagar. He takes a loaf of bread and he takes a flask of water and he places it upon Hagar, who is being banished to the desert. But continues the pasuk, Somal Shichma v'es hayeled vayishalachaha. He places the child, the yeled, the boy, upon her shoulder. The boy, according to the Medrash, is 27 years old. But he has a fever and he's being placed upon her shoulder and being sent to the desert. And he's doing this. He's providing so little because, as Rashi explains, no silver, no gold. Because Avraham Avinu was consumed with a hatred, if we could suggest, because of how Yishmael was turning out and what he is elected to do. But comes along the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, and please listen to his words. Al Shichma v'es HaYeled, Avram Avinu places the bread and the flask of water upon Hagar, and the child upon her. Perish Gam also Sam Al Shichma, he placed the child also on her. Lihio Shlo Haya Rotza Lotzeis Mi Beis Aviv. Given the fact that Yishmael, with all of his shenanigans, never wanted to leave the home of his father. He loved him too much. And he understood that what was ever corrective in Avraham's demonstrative raising of Yishmael was for his benefit. And then continues the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, Lazeh, because of this, when the pasuk says that Avram placed Yishmael upon Hagar, Lazeh Akdo Ki Yeled V'Samo Al Shichma V'Girsha. Yishmael was fighting not to have to leave. So Avram Avinu took him and he bound his hands to his feet behind himself and then placed him against his will upon his mother Hagar, banishing them to the desert. Lazeh Akdo Ki Yeled. Avram Avinu effectively is parting from Yishmael at the Akedah of Yishmael. No different than that which he was willing to do when charged by HaKadosh Baruch Hu regarding Yitzchak. Kachna es bincha es yichidcha asher havta. Bincha, yichidcha, ahavta. Each one is my son. Each one is a yachid, singular to his mother. And regarding loving them, Shneim ani ohev. And for Yishmael and for Avraham Avinu, the sending away of Yishmael was an Akedah, before the more famed Akedas Yitzchak. Yishmael, indeed, perhaps, was the understudy of Yitzchak. Not easily sent away from his father. Not easily sent away from his father, both from the perspective of Avraham Avinu, Vayera Hadavar Ma'od, Alados Bano, and not easy for Yishmael. We wonder about the history, the hatred that Yishmael has, the arch enemy that he became of our nation and our people. He too had an Akedah. Such a difficult moment for Avram Avinu, and evidently for Yishmael as well. Something to think about the Shabbos Kodesh when we learn from the magnificent Sedra of VaYe. Have a wonderful Shabbos.